Outcasted OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, guys? It's Courtney here from the Outcasted OC Podcast, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw recap, Raw review. Let's get straight into it. But before I start, I am just going to say this is probably the most enjoyable episode of Monday Night Raw that I have experienced this year. It was so full of good stuff. I can't wait to talk about it. Monday Night Raw this week kicks off with Seth freaking Rollins making his way out to the ring. Now he is quickly just welcoming everybody to Monday Night Raw and is talking about how he is still the World Heavyweight Champion after his match against Drew McIntyre at Crown Jewel this weekend. He says that, he has two people realistically to thank for what happened at Crown Jewel. He said he wants to thank Drew McIntyre because he's a man of his word. He's not aligned with the Judgment Day, and Judgment Day didn't come and get involved during the match, but they did afterwards. And Seth Rollins went ahead and admitted, he said, I'm not 100% after Crown Jewel. Obviously, my back's, not doing so great. And he says he's got another person he wants to thank, but he wants to thank that person face to face. So he invites Sami Zayn to come out. So Sami Zayn comes out. And he starts talking about, where's the briefcase? Because obviously, if you know, Sami Zayn stole the briefcase from Damian Priest at Crown Jewel. And he's like, did Adam Pearce make you return it? And Sami responds with, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Seth goes on and says, thank you for Crown Jewel. I really want to find a way to repay you. And Sami says, helping you's not really why I did it. He said that he's been dealing with the Judgment Day for months and he didn't want them to capture the World Heavyweight Championship because then realistically they would have all the gold and they would become a Bloodline 2.0. And Seth Rollins says, you are so right. I dig what you're about. You stand up for everything that you believe in, but people like you don't get what you deserve. And says that, after you left Adam Pearce's office to give him back the case, I actually went and caught up with him and asked him if we could actually have a match one-on-one anytime, any place for the World Heavyweight Championship. You just need to say when. Sami responds to Seth by saying, this has kind of really caught me off guard, but I want to fight someone when the champion is not compromised. And Seth is like, what are you talking about? And says that, realistically, we've been doing this for decades, you and I, we're cut from the same cloth. We're never going to fully be 100%, so we just need to capitalize on the moment and it doesn't stop us. So just say when you want to go ahead and have this match. And Sami Zayn says, well, how about we do it right here, right now, tonight? They go ahead and shake on it and the match is made official for the main event of Monday Night Raw. I'm not going to lie to you. I was really thinking this is actually like a PLE level match, maybe Survivor Series, but I'm happy that they have a really strong main event going into Monday Night Raw this week. It really sets the tone for the rest of the episode because I'm not lying to you when I say this was a really good show. After this, we then see the Judgment Day backstage in their little area and they are talking and Damian Priest literally runs in and I couldn't really catch what was being said beforehand, but Damian just completely loses his mind about the fact that Sami Zayn is now getting a title match for the World Heavyweight Championship and obviously he couldn't capitalize on that moment at Crown Jewel. And, they've basically said, we've actually got business we need to handle tonight with the New Day, so let's go ahead and do that as the tag champs. So this leads us straight into the first match of the night, which is the New Day going up against the Judgment Day. Straight away from the very beginning, Finn Balor is in control of the match with Kofi Kingston as well too. Kofi Kingston hits a really nice super kick. Then the New Day end up double teaming the Judgment Day. Xavier Woods hits Damian Priest, he kicks him off the apron, and then Xavier ends up hitting a missile drop kick. And there's a really nice sequence coming in here from Kofi Kingston. He also follows this sequence up with a really nice crossbody and a boom drop as well. Finn Balor hits the sling blade, and then Damian Priest hits the South of Heaven for Finn Balor to then hit the coup de grace to come away with the win. This was a really interesting and exciting match. I really liked the chemistry that all four of the men in this match have together. I think it was really good to see. Then we saw Jackie Redmond was backstage and she was wanting to catch up with Drew McIntyre. We see a black SUV arrive for Drew McIntyre to get out of the car. She starts asking him questions about, what's next after your loss at Crown Jewel. He literally looks at her looks away and like gets back in the car, and the car just drives off. So clearly Drew McIntyre doesn't want to face the music about what happened at Crown Jewel. Then we see Seth Rollins is backstage, and he's kind of walking out from obviously being in the ring, and he catches up with Adam Pearce, and Adam's like, look, you didn't have to do that. I want you to rest tonight. Do you not really think you should be taking a rest after what happened at Crown Jewel? And Seth Rollins says, well, I assure you that I'm fit to fight. I was born to run. You know, he's like doing that whole, I'm not injured, I'm really not injured. He's in denial about his back when realistically he's burning himself out, and it's very interesting to see how this story is going to play out. Then we have the match between Akira Tozawa and Shinsuke Nakamura. Now I will say very quickly, this match was very short, but we got to see a lot of great moves coming in from Akira Tozawa. So straight away he's hitting a really beautiful suplex, and then he ends up following this up by trying to set up the Hurricane Rana, but he ends up nailing it. So Shinsuke kind of hesitates for a second, but then Akira hits the Hurricane Rana as well, which is quite cool. Akira then hits a really nice senton, but Shinsuke gets his knees up. Shinsuke hits a big boot followed by a Kinshasa to come away with the win. Then we see Shinsuke and Otis have a face-off, because you've got the entirety of the Alpha Academy standing ringside, and obviously Otis is coming to try and help his guy out. So that's quite cool to see that Akira's been welcomed into the Alpha Academy with open arms. After this, we had a Natalya video package. Now, this was obviously leading up to the Battle Royal. I don't really want to talk much about it because you guys know that I'm not a huge fan of Natalya. Kind of think it was a little bit boring, not going to lie. Kind of just rests on the laurels of the fact that she's a Neidhart and she's a, you know, born into the family and everything. But I don't really have any thoughts, to be honest. I'm not going to keep saying what I think because it's going to come across quite rude. So I'm going to rein myself in really quickly. Then we saw Adam Pearce talking. Now, this is kind of a pre-recorded video package, and he's hyping up the Fatal 4-Way match. So WWE this week have done a fantastic job at actually getting some matches set for Survivor Series. So this is the first one that they're setting up. They're doing a Fatal 4-Way match for the contenders shot for the IC title at Survivor Series. So whoever wins this match is going to go up against Gunther. So The Miz, Bronson Reed, Ricochet, and Ivar are all announced for this match ahead of time, as well as in this video package. And Adam Pearce does a really good job at hyping up all the contenders to get you really excited. We then go into the Fatal 4-Way match. Now, I'm just going to say this was very good. Like, this was almost considered match of the night for me. There were so many really good spots. One that I really would love to note is that Bronson Reed and Ricochet worked really well together to hit this really cool move on Ivar. I recommend, honestly, you see it because it was just like, I can't even describe it because of how beautiful it was. There's a moment in this match where you see Bronson Reed and Ivar both setting up top rope moves to actually nail them, which is awesome to see. And then we see Ivar and Miz both setting up pins at the same time. Then there's a moment where they both kind of hit a 3 count and everyone's a little bit confused about who actually got the win on it. We then find out that it actually was The Miz who won the match, so he is going to be going up against Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship at Survivor Series. This angers Ivar because Ivar swear he got the pin on that match. He swear he won. He just starts beating down on The Miz. So it's interesting to see this new babyface side of The Miz. It's still kind of The Miz that we know, but not so, you know, I can't really describe it. It's The Miz, but it's also not The Miz that we're used to, if that makes any sense. After this, we see the Alpha Academy are backstage, and Akira's apologizing to Chad Gable, and he's like, look, I'm really sorry, you know, I really wanted to do better in that match. And Chad's like, it's all good, you just need to refocus, and has said, you know, that you've got your match coming up tomorrow on NXT for the Heritage Cup. And obviously we end up seeing that the Creed brothers earlier in the day actually had they had a video recap, and then saw earlier in the day that they've now actually been signed to Monday Night Raw, which is really cool. I don't know if that means that they're going to be going between Raw and NXT, but I am so excited. I think the Creed brothers are fantastic, and the match that we have for tonight honestly exceeded my expectations. But before that, they're signing their contracts and they're talking about how they're obviously moving over to Monday Night Raw. When we see DIY come in, and obviously they've been eyeing up the Creed brothers for quite some time, and they set up a tag match, which is the match that we are going to talk about next. So we have a tag match between the Creed brothers and DIY. Now, I was very torn on this match because I'm really vibing with the Creed brothers as of late, but I also love DIY. I love Tommaso Ciampa. He is one of my guys. Honestly, I just didn't know how this match was going to go, but honestly, it was fantastic. I really think this was a great technical bout. Both teams are really technically sound in the ring and obviously working well together as well. So straight away, DIY is actually double teaming the Creed Creeds, and then the Creeds end up hitting a double moonsault. Brutus ends up launching into Ivar, and then we go to a commercial break. When we come back, Tommaso's turned it all around. He's going absolutely wild. DIY end up double teaming the Creeds again, and then the Creeds both hit standing shooting star presses onto DIY. We see Johnny Gargano is just like turning Julius inside out. And then there's a moment where Ludwig Kaiser comes in and actually ends up booting Johnny Gargano for the Creed brothers to get the win. Obviously, this is what happened last week. They went up against each other, Imperium and DIY. So it's interesting to see maybe the Creed brothers having an alliance with Imperium, or maybe Ludwig Kaiser just picked his moment to get some revenge. But honestly, I enjoyed this. I think keeping the Creed brothers looking strong since they've debuted is a really good thing to do. But also keeping DIY protected in the sense that, you know, someone's coming in and interfering. I really liked this match. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the tag team division improves within Monday Night Raw. I feel as though we kind of focus on a few teams, maybe like 2 or 3, so it's really cool to see that we're actually getting a really solid tag division coming out of the flagship show. We had a video package for Sami Zayn. Now obviously this is towards the main event that he is having with Seth Rollins tonight. It showed a little bit of the match that happened at Elimination Chamber this year when they were in Canada, obviously where he went up against Roman Reigns and obviously failed to win the championship from Roman. Then we actually see that Sami Zayn's actually watching the monitor backstage and he's getting quite emotional thinking about everything that's happened. We see Jey Uso come in and Jay's like, look man, I feel really bad about how it went down in Elimination Chamber. And Sami Zayn's like, no, don't worry about it. And then Jay's like, well, obviously we've got this rematch happening with the Judgment Day next week, and then you've got your match with Seth this week. Maybe this time next week we could both be champions again. And they obviously hug it out. So it's good to see that there is a strong rapport still between Jay and Sami. I'm not going to lie to you when I say that this next part, there is quite a lot that happened within like 35 minutes because it's all geared towards the women's match that we had tonight. So Becky Lynch is backstage with Jackie Redmond and she's asking, you know, how Becky's feeling going into this Battle Royal match. Becky starts hyping it up, and then we end up seeing that Nia Jax is actually standing behind Becky Lynch. Becky turns around and Nia assumes that she is going to be as happy as when she punched Becky Lynch in the face back in 2018 with winning the Battle Royal that's happening tonight. Becky then reminds Nia that she actually went on to main event WrestleMania while Nia got fired. Then it cuts to Byron Saxton quickly having a conversation with Chelsea and Piper. Obviously, they're involved in the Battle Royal tonight too. And they're actually saying that, you know, out of everybody, we actually could win this. Then we see Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark come in. And Shayna's going ahead and saying she's going to tear everybody apart limb from limb. And Piper reminds everybody that it's actually every woman for themselves. So then, we're setting up the Battle Royal for the Survivor Series contender match. Now, whoever wins this Battle Royal will have a chance to go up against Rhea Ripley at Survivor Series. So I'm quickly just going to rattle off the names of the contenders. So you have Nia Jax, you have Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, you have Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, Indy Hartwell, Ivy Nile, Piper Niven, Chelsea Green, Tegan Nox, Natalia, Nikki Cross, which... Anyway, Maxine, Raquel Rodriguez. Now, you also have Xia Li and Becky Lynch. Now, everybody starts making the entrance, and then Becky Lynch makes her entrance, and she's almost about to get into the ring when Xia Li runs up behind her and actually starts, like, taking her out. She starts, like, punching her and then kicks her, and it completely knocks Becky Lynch out. A whole bunch of security and Adam Pearce come out, and they're like, no, we're not having you in this match. You've just completely ruined it for yourself. Like, that wasn't cool. You're out of here. So Xia Li gets ejected from ringside. She's no longer competing in this match. Then we end up going to an ad break to then come back to see that Becky Lynch is now being looked after by medical and is basically not clear to compete in this match. So you can take Xia Li and Becky Lynch out of the match. I was a little bit upset at first at Becky Lynch being taken out, but I believe that they're trying to set up Becky and Rhea for WrestleMania. So keeping those two apart for as long as you can is the best way to make that feud when it eventually happens feel super fresh. So I'm happy with this. I think it's a really good booking decision to keep Becky away from Rhea for as long as you can. So then the match actually gets started and we see that... I don't know what's going on with Nikki Cross, but she's just literally standing in the middle of the ring, like looking into the crowd, just like deadpan stare. So Nia and Raquel eliminate her, and then Maxine hits a really nice hanging armbar, which she's obviously learnt from Chad Gable onto Piper Niven, and then Piper gets eliminated. Nia gets rid of Maxine, and then Kaden and Katana are working really well in unison with each other, but it's not a tag match. Ivy Nile is looking fantastic in this. This is technically her first match on the main roster. Even though it's a battle royal, she's doing a fantastic job. She tries to lift Nia. Then we end up seeing that, because near the very end, you've got Shayna and Zoe. So Shayna's hitting the clutch on Zoe outside along the ring apron. But then I think she realizes that if she's going to do it, she's also going to fall back as well too. Then we see Zoe kick Shayna a few times, maybe like 2 or 3 times, to then hit a DDT on Shayna Baszler. And Zoe Stark wins the Battle Royal, so she is going to be going up against Rhea Ripley at Survivor Series. I kid you not, I'm so excited for this match. I was not a massive fan of Zoe Stark in NXT. I don't know, I couldn't connect with her. I think it's because I wasn't seeing her on a regular basis and got to learn how she is. But I'm so excited for this. I like Zoe Stark. I like her aura, her music. I think she's great in the ring. She's fantastic. Her match at Crown Jewel this weekend, I think she was the MVP of that match. So I'm really excited to see where this match will go and how it's going to go into Survivor Series. I think it's a really great matchup. We had a couple of video segments backstage, so let's quickly run through them. So we got to see Sammy and Seth both warming up backstage before the main event. Then we see Rhea Ripley is chatting with Jackie Redmond, and then we end up actually seeing that Zoe Stark comes in. So before Zoe comes in, Rhea goes ahead and says that, it's going to be me and Zoe at Survivor Series and I'm going to handle my business. Then Zoe comes in and says, you need to focus on me instead of the Judgment Day. Rhea then reminds Zoe that she also beat her at Crown Jewel along with 3 other women, so she's not going to have a problem beating Zoe at Survivor Series, but I'm so excited for this. We got to see some Crown Jewel highlights before the main event, but I want to talk about the main event because a lot happened that has actually helped towards Survivor Series, and something finally happened that we knew was going to happen a long time ago. But anyway, so we have the main event, which is Sami Zayn challenging Seth freaking Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, as I said earlier, I'm not going to lie, I really wish this was a PLE match, but this was fantastic. Straight away from the beginning, Seth Rollins is overpowering Sami Zayn, and then the match starts to slow down in pace. Then we end up seeing that Sami Zayn throws Seth Rollins over the ropes. After the commercial break, Seth Rollins is beating down on Sami, hits him with a couple of chops, and then Sami Zayn hits Seth Rollins with that moonsault that is off the barricade. We end up seeing Sami Zayn hitting a leapfrog and then following that up with like a clothesline onto Seth Rollins. Then we see Sami flying high and Seth Rollins hits some really nice aerial moves we haven't seen from him in a long time. So he hits a swanton and a moonsault and then ends up kneeing Sami Zayn to the face as well. Sami hits the blue thunder bomb and then we end up seeing him hitting an exploder suplex as well as kicking Seth Rollins as well too. Seth Rollins hits the pedigree, which then Sami Zayn follows this up as a Boston Crab. Then Seth Rollins, I was going to say Sami Zayn, imagine that. Seth Rollins wins the match. Then, as Sami Zayn is leaving, the Judgment Day start beating down on Sami. Now, keep in mind, we've seen this happen a lot. I've spoken about this ad nauseum on Monday Night Raw recaps because it's been happening every single week. So then Seth goes ahead and starts brawling with the Judgment Day. Jey Uso then comes in to make the save. Then we see Cody Rhodes come in to neutralize the situation. It's 4-on-4. And I kid you not, I literally wrote this down in my notes. I wrote down WARGAMES team. 2 seconds later, Adam Pearce and a whole bunch of security come out. Adam Pearce stands in the ring and goes ahead and says the following. He says, I am sick and tired of you guys fighting every single week. Why don't we just make this a WARGAMES match? A, you could have announced this weeks ago, and B, I'm a genius because I called this and wrote this down like literally 2 minutes before Adam Pearce did. But anyway, so it's interesting to see that Judgment Day and now you've got Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, and Jey Uso are all going to team up to take on the Judgment Day at Survivor Series WARGAMES. I think this is going to be really good. I kind of called it a long time ago, but I'm happy to see they've finally got the WARGAMES team set. And with that, that is the end of Monday Night Raw for this week. If you stuck around till the end of the video, thank you so much. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, as well as putting your thoughts in the comments of what you think of the episode of Monday Night Raw. Make sure you go ahead and follow all of our personal social medias as well too, so you can keep up to date with what we're doing when we're not posting on here. Make sure you also go ahead and follow Outcasted on Twitter. I'm not going to call it X, and on Instagram as well too, so you can keep up to date with our new videos and podcasts when they come out. We're going to be having an NXT review coming in from Reese, as well as the normal podcast on Thursday, SmackDown review coming in from G, and a week in review AEW style from Ross. Make sure you go ahead and post notifications, everything, so you can keep up to date with when they're coming out as well too. I'll see you guys in the podcast. Bye guys.